Good day everyone. Today let's talk about operating and finance lease, IAS 17. Okay, so let's talk about lease. A lease is a contract which outlines the terms under which one party, the lessee, agrees to rent property owned by another party, the lessor. What this basically means is that it's a contract which outlines some terms or some conditions engaged in a borrower agreeing to rent a property or an asset from a lender. After such a transaction takes place, it guarantees the owner or the property owner of the asset to receive some regular payments from the borrower of the asset. In other words, assuming I try to borrow your car for 3 days and you agree with me that I need to pay you $2 every day for the next 3 days. The payment of $2 for the next 3 days is what we term as a regular payment. After which, the 3 days period at which that I use the asset is what we term as a period agreed upon. So now somebody wonder, who is a lessor, who is a lessee? For example, Miss Eve rents an apartment from Mr. Adam. Now Mr. Adam here, who is a property owner, or let's say the landlord, is the one who is the lessor. And then Miss Eve, who rents this property from the landlord, in other words the tenant, or let's say the property acquirer, is what we term as the lessee. Okay, so now let's move on to the types of leases. There are two types of leases. The first one is an operating lease, and the second one is a finance lease. So what is an operating lease? With an operating lease, the lessor retains most of the risk and rewards associated with the asset. Second point is that it finances the property for less than its useful life. In other words, if the useful economic life of an asset is 10 years, an operating lease will finance it below this 10 years, but not majority part of the asset's life. It can be 9 years, it could be perhaps 5 years, 3 years, or 4 years. The third point is that the lessee or the borrower retains the asset at the end of the lease period. So after the period agreed upon between the lessor and the lessee now retains the asset back to the owner after it's been used. The fourth point is that all other leases which does not transfer substantially all the risk and rewards incident to ownership are also termed as operating lease. So what is a finance lease? A finance lease transfers substantially all the risk and rewards incident to ownership of the asset to the lessee. What this means is that the moment the lessee borrows an asset, all the risk, such as maybe possibility of losses from idle capacity or maybe technological obsolescence, are all transferred to the lessee. And also rewards, such as any profitable operation over the asset's economic life, maybe any gain from appreciation in the value or realization of a residual value from the use of asset, are all borne by the lessee. A finance lease also gives rise to asset and liability recognition by the lessee. What this means is that a finance lease of a property is treated as an asset because at the end of the economic useful life of the property it will be transferred to the lessee, so it is treated as an asset. And then it's also recognized as a liability because within time period, or let's say every month, or let's say every year, the lessee would have to pay a particular amount or substantial amount to the lessor for the use of the asset. So this money that will be paid is being recognized as a liability which will be paid over the lifespan of the asset until it's finally transferred to the lessee. At the same time, it's also treated or recognized as a receivable by the lessor. As for the lessor, he or she treats it as a good which has been sold. So in other words, a good which has been given to a customer. Hence, it needs to be recognized in the balance sheet or state financial position as receivables. Now let's talk about some characteristics that will help you identify a finance lease. The first one is that after the asset has been used for the period, or that's the lease term, the lessee will become the new owner. It means there will be a transfer of ownership from the lessor to the lessee. The other point is also that major part of this asset's economic life, assuming it's 10 years economic life that the asset has, a major part of it will be covered by the lease term. So maybe the lease term could be, let's say, 9 years or 9.5 years. The third point is that at the end of the usage or the rental of the asset, the lessee has the option to pay a price in order to own this asset. So when there is a price tag that has been set to help the lessee own this asset, you realize it's a finance lease. And usually this price is also expected to be sufficiently lower than its fair value. The other point is that when the present value of the minimum lease payments is greater than or substantially equal to the asset's fair value, you realize it's a finance lease. Now let's deal with some differences between operating and finance lease. The first one is that, is the ownership of the property transferred to the lessee at the end of the lease term? If ownership will be transferred to the lessee, then it's a finance lease. But if at the end of the lease term the lessee will still not own this property, then it's an operating lease. Second point is that if the present value of the minimum lease payment is greater than or substantially equal to the asset's fair value, if it is yes, then it's a finance lease. But if it is no, it's an operating lease. The third point is that, is there a bargain purchase price after the lease term? Is there a price tag given for the lessee to pay in order to own the asset? If it is yes, then it's a finance lease. But if it is no, it's an operating lease. The fourth point is that, is a lease term for a major part of the asset's useful life? If it's covering major part of its life, then it's a finance lease. But if it is not covering a major part of its useful life, it is an operating lease.
Hello everyone, we finally come to the end of lecture 1 for leases, and we humbly ask that you subscribe to the channel in order to get the other information how to calculate it. Thank you very much, and God bless you.